My name's Joe. I don't know you. I just know some things. I'm not sure how or why I know them. I just do. Within a year's time, at least one of your unanswered prayers will be answered, and some of your forgotten dreams will be realized. You may feel, sense, or even see at least once a bright white light. It brings indescribable peace and joy. You deserve it. Till then, mon ami, indecision de Dios is your temperament.
Did you guys see that video of Trump and Epstein?
Yeah.
Chilling.
They just look like a couple pimps, dude.
You can't tell. You can't look at that vid and say
those chicks
anything but pimps.
Those chicks looked old. Those chicks were at least 40.
Yeah, that's why Epstein
those
was
women
mad.
were adults. No, it was funny. It's because it's like it's a video of like, look at Trump being handsy with these women. It's like he's at a party. I mean, it's like, what do you?
I mean, the video's just that he's boys with Epstein. It's not.
Sure. No. There's like fucking people like
that are like what he's doing is
like
inappropriate.
because he slapped some woman's ass in the video, and it's like,
well, that
I know.
What do you want? I mean, it's like if you're gonna try and get him on everything, it's like,
I know. What about like the 20, 30 something women that said that he raped them or sexually assaulted them? Yeah. I mean, that's really
not that lady in the green that wanted to get his little.
I don't know if she wanted it or not, but like, let's just like focus on what we
on the rape.
What's on the record?
Raped. Yeah. One thing I did come away from is looking at that and being like, you throw out all the rapes, obviously, but just all the pussy he's gotten consensually, it makes me mad. How much more pussy Donald Trump has gotten than me?
Yeah, but he probably wasn't a very good fuck, you know?
That's true, but that is true.
He was probably a bad fuck.
He didn't have the connection that I've had.
He had too much confidence going
I've
into it. I think to be a truly great lover, you have to have a baseline insecurity going into it.
Sure, that's true.
So you overcompensate for your tiny penis or whatever it is that makes you insecure.
Yep.
So you eat pussy too much, or you shake a little bit, like when
you shake
about to touch their tit. You know?
Oh no, dude!
Show them that you really appreciate it.
No, you can't shake. The only thing that shakes is my cock. I've trained it to vibrate.
Cool if Brock Turner's dad was in that video at that point.
He's the guy in the mustache standing next to them.
He's on a microphone. Guys, we're all here to get a little taste of some pussy pie. Get a little action. A little sweet slice of the forbidden fruit. The delicious berry of an unconsenting woman. They're like, oh yeah, Hank Turner's doing his classic pussy pie speech. You gotta hear this guy's pussy pie speech.
Yeah, he's thrilled when his son gets arrested. He's like, wow, get the dust off the old material.
Kicks open a war chest in the basement.
Scrolls that he fucking blows the dust
For
off.
1,000 years, I've been acquiring pussy pie. 20 minutes of action atop the mountain
of... Hank Turner. Damn, this cat wants my cock, dude. She's sitting right on top of my penis.
That's what animals mean when they do that.
They want to fuck me, right?
They want to fuck, dude.
I've gone back to feeling my dog's nipples. It feels like a more pure love.
When you touch your dog's nipples?
Yeah. You know, she kind of
what
allows
about
me
ISIS?
to do it.
Thank you.
What did you say?
It was just a joke.
ASAP Rocky's in prison in Sweden?
Yeah,
like Denmark
for defending a woman.
No.
From what, Muslims?
I don't know. That's what people say happened to him. Apparently the Congressional Black Caucus is trying to get him out.
Free ASAP.
Free ASAP. Free Flacco.
What about
That's an official Cumtown stance.
Absolutely. This could be ASAP Ferg coordinating with the Swedish government so that he would
It'd be funny
ascend
if-
to the number one,
It'd be funny if the Swedish
to the
government
king of ASAP mob.
returned him and he was in a coma with botulism. Just to give him the Otto warm beer treatment.
Damn, R.I.P. Otto, dude, a freedom fighter.
A true bro.
Yeah. What about all this fuck? Everyone talking about aliens and shit.
What do you mean? Area 51?
Yeah.
I thought I didn't want to say anything, and then a couple people messaged me about it, but it does seem weird with the Epstein stuff because it's like it seems like this, yeah. There's some kind of contrivance there where they're trying to like create this other like, and aliens are real too. Let's just believe all conspiracy theories. It's
dude,
And also,
that's
there are
true.
like real humans in cages. Why are they like storming an alien cage?
Because it's fun. It's funny.
It's
But what
also
about the real humans?
The
that-
government, like, pretty much, like, the story with Area 51 is, like, pretty fucking clear. It's, like, that's where they tested the SR-71. Everyone thought it was a UFO. Or, like, at the time, you had UFO sightings, and then they declassified the plane. And then, you know, they eventually, I think in 1995, they had to formally acknowledge that Area 51 existed because somebody who worked there got sick and died, and their like wife was trying to get like benefits or something, and the government, Bill Clinton signed not an executive order.
Bill Clinton, huh?
Or like
Interesting.
an executive
Connecting the dots.
an executive like
Affidavit.
dictum or something. I don't know. It's basically an official statement from the White House that says like, yeah, you can't move forward with the civil case because it's like an issue of national security.
Wow.
And that's like where they had to just say like, yes, Area 51 exists. It's like for like experimental aircraft.
They didn't give that lady any fucking money?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the government doesn't care about anybody. I mean, this 9/11 first responders thing is like the best evidence of that. It's so funny to watch. Like, there's like some the former head of like fucking ICE or I don't know, some piece of shit, but he's like, he's Congress is grilling him, and they're like, how did you let this happen on your watch? And it's all this theatrics, and it's like, well, you also let it happen on your watch.
Yeah.
Why weren't you you're the government. You could have fucking done something.
Yeah.
And it's like, the way that, it's just like nobody really gives a shit about fucking 9/11 first responders anymore. They won't give a shit about the kids on the fucking border in fucking 5 years or whatever if this is still going on and there's a Democrat in office.
Damn, 5 years they're still in cages?
It won't, nobody will care.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, not nobody, but, it's like so much bad shit happens that it's like, oh, yeah, well, like, just business as usual.
yeah. I was thinking maybe the Area 51 shit is a tie-in for like a movie.
What kind of movie?
An alien, some
Lego
kind of alien movie.
Lego movie.
Lego aliens.
Yeah, Lego aliens.
Yeah, or maybe Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're making a Halo movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Mission Impossible. Men in Black just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get in there. So you actually don't think there's aliens, huh? You believe what the freaking government has told you about that plane or whatever the fuck.
I mean, it's just like the odds of people existing are so low,
Oh, you don't believe in aliens at all? The reason I don't think there's aliens there is because Trump would have bragged about it by now.
Yeah.
He would have let something slide. And actually, if they're about to get Trump...
They probably wouldn't tell the president.
What?
There's a lot of shit they don't tell the president.
Like what? Doesn't the president get to know everything?
No, I don't think so, because you're not president forever.
Yeah, but there's only like 50 motherfuckers that's ever been president.
Yeah.
You're not president forever, but you fucking... Not that many of you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if the president gets to be told.
If he doesn't, then who the fuck gets to?
Because then they would also have to tell him what's up with Jeffrey Epstein.
They know that. Everyone knows that they fucks kids.
No, I mean, he's like clearly like some sort of government asset.
Oh,
Have
damn.
you followed the rest of that shit?
Not, of course not.
He has all these passports with fake names and shit. And like,
whoa, he's a fucking agent?
It's...
What if he's an assassin?
I mean, like, odds are he's like connected to the Mossad and he's like just getting dirt on people for Israel.
That's how he's so rich.
Well, if you look at it, like his fucking partner or his like girlfriend or whatever, that Ghislaine Maxwell bitch, her dad was like doing that.
Oh,
he was a Mossad asset or whatever.
Hell yeah.
And then, like Jeffrey Epstein is a guy that invites all these people to his house to fuck children, and then he secretly records them doing it. And then he like is a hedge fund manager who doesn't work and has all these passports in his own private island.
Yeah, dude.
And there's no client list. You know, it's like,
yeah.
And then Acosta said himself that he was told to back off the case because he was like an intelligence asset.
Damn.
Yeah.
The intelligence is just videos of people fucking children?
Kind of, yeah. I don't know.
Damn, dude. What do you think about that,
For
Adam?
blackmail or whatever. I have no idea, but yeah.
So you think he doesn't fuck kids?
He gets heads of
No, he
state to
does.
fuck
He probably
kids.
does.
But they give him a pass
Oh, okay.
because he's the pimp. He's the
So,
child
but
pimp.
you don't get high off your own supply. Classic rule
I think
of
that,
pimping and drug dealing.
I think the pimps still make love to their bottom bitches.
That's just the bottom bitch.
Yeah, their bottom bitches, some of their side bitches.
Yeah, that's true.
Pimps, you know, they've been known.
I guess they do taste a little bit.
I mean,
of their own
literally, if you
supply.
get a lot of pussy, someone calls you a pimp.
That's true.
You know, there's a
I
reason.
guess that's
for
more
that.
about drug dealing than pimping.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you Google Epstein in Israel or Epstein in Mossad, it's like you only get like websites that look like this. You know, that's not the kind of thing the New York Times is ever going to speculate on.
Yeah.
Even if Jeffrey Epstein's like, I work for the government of Israel, they'd be like, Epstein indicated that he had some connections.
There were some veiled comments
to Middle
made.
Eastern countries.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn.
As a possible, but what's important is Donald Trump is friends with them. They're best friends. They have sex with children together. Donald Trump is a pedophile. Rape Donald Trump. It's a picture of him and Bill Clinton kissing the Israeli flag while fucking a baby together. They're Eiffel Towering. An infant.
Possibly doctored images have appeared.
This photo of Jeffrey Epstein, who is friends with Donald Trump, depicts a certain flag, what some may call a flag.
A rectangular piece of cloth.
As he pushes Bill Clinton away, Bill Clinton, who is clearly trying to stop him, trying to save the baby.
He's trying to save a baby
by
from
pulling the baby away from Jeffrey's penis with his own penis. He's in a
They're giving the baby the Heimlich maneuver with their penises.
locked in a struggle with Jeffrey. With Jeffrey. Jeffrey's trying to eat the Israeli flag because he hates it. And Bill Clinton is saving it by kissing the flag also while trying to unfuck the baby from...
Ah, fuck. Yeah. Well, he got denied bail or some shit just now,
Yeah.
which is good, I guess.
I don't know. This thing is gonna like just sort of disappear, and it's not gonna. They're not gonna reveal much, and people just get tired of it and move on to the next.
Yeah,
thing.
probably. Unless some of that video leaks.
I don't see why it would.
Someone's got it, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Someone's got the vid. What if you saw a vid of Bill Clinton just getting head from a child?
Mm-hmm.
I would not watch it personally because it would be nasty.
Yeah. You're anti-nasty shit.
I'm not into nasty shit.
The other thing too, though, is like like there's the Mossad, but then there's also just like Israeli politics, and this other fucking guy who's just friends with Epstein.
Ehud Barak.
Yeah, who's now like Netanyahu's
Former
like,
prime
He's a
minister.
pedophile. He's having sex with.
He said Barak's a pedophile.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Barak was a leader of the opposition party, though. So it might
Oh, and he's boys with Epstein?
yeah.
he used to be prime minister, but
Well,
he's,
and then he
he's
said
part of
that-
Labor and
He said that
Netanyahu's Likud.
He said that he never met any girls or whatever. But there's a video.
The old Dershowitz?
Yeah.
The old Dershowitz fucking testimony?
Yeah.
So wait, the Netanyahu's party is called the Likud? What
Yes.
about the Lick Dudes party?
That's cool.
Huh?
Yeah, that's good. That'll get them to stop.
How about that, BB? Actually, your party's called the Lick Dudes party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm taking a stand.
you fucking fascist.
Yeah.
I just want more juicy details.
What? How juicy?
Leaving Neverland
What's
style?
so funny? It's because this shit is like so much more interesting than fucking Stranger Things.
Yes.
That's why Netflix sucks.
I never watched Street
There's a
Ratings.
pedophile with a weird temple on his private island. Like, I would much rather just see more about that than.
Would you watch a show about
It's
it?
way better than True
we gotta
Detective.
play Dungeons and Dragons and figure out where the aliens are.
What is Stranger Things about?
It's nothing. It's garbage.
It's some
the
like
first season, someone's in a wall or some shit.
I think
Yeah,
there's
some
magic
bitches-
and
some
it's
bitch
set in
has-
the 80s.
Some bitches in a wall because of Poltergeist, I think.
It's basically Poltergeist. The
It's
first
Poltergeist,
season.
and it's all this
But
fucking
one of them
John
has-
Carpenter bullshit, and it's just, yeah.
The
It's
girl
the trick.
the girl that Drake's trying to fuck has like mental. She's basically, what's her name from X-Men? Jean Grey. So you got Jean Grey in Poltergeist season
Yeah.
1 with a fat sheriff that gay guys want to fuck or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the lady that stole acting weird.
Winona Ryder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was season 1. Now what are the rest of the seasons?
I think it would be great if Harvey Weinstein gets to come back, but he's acting now.
He's an actor.
He's in films. We see him as like the brother on King of Queens.
He just comes back and he does like a one-man play.
Did Harvey try to act initially, or that was just your boy that did that?
What do you mean?
Like, a lot of execs try to act at first.
Really?
Is that true?
I think so. They're like failed actors, but they
I don't
want to
think
be
that's true.
around. Maybe it's not true.
I don't think that's true.
Maybe that's just my prejudice.
Are you planning on being an exec?
Yeah, when I become a failed comedian.
Oh, you're already a failed comedian.
Well, I'm like on my way to being a failed comedian,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say I've hit rock bottom yet. There's a lot lower that I can go.
Certainly.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a couple more good years, then it's all...
Man, Jeffrey Epstein is such a weird looking guy.
Yeah,
His
his smile
chin.
was fucked up in that video, dude.
Yeah.
Too much gums.
Too much gums, and he's got weird fish lips, almost reptilian. He does look like a lizard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A leathery, like lizard person. But I guess that's anti-Semitic to say.
To say
So,
lizard person?
yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Christman got in trouble for that.
Are they already jacked pedophiles?
Epstein was kind of built.
R. Kelly.
I guess R.
R. Kelly is immaculate shape.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say immaculate.
Have you not seen his music videos?
At points in his life, maybe.
R. Kelly was the master of the flowing open shirt and wind machine
Yep.
music video aesthetic.
It's also so funny he just cannot read.
Yeah, he's illiterate.
That's awesome.
That rocks. Look at how much he was able to accomplish in his life.
For not reading?
How did he learn the words to the songs?
Yeah, dude.
How did he write Trapped in the Closet if he couldn't read?
He literally probably talked it into a tape recorder.
He probably recited it to one of his slaves.
His sex slaves.
Yeah.
Dad, I gotta show you. You don't really need to know how to read.
No,
If
reading
you can
is
be a singer and have a harem of sex slaves,
a harem.
harem.
Haram is like
Everybody's afraid of the Face app now because it's a Russian company.
yeah. You love it, Nick. You've been going off on FaceApp.
I used it a couple times, yeah.
I liked
Yeah,
it.
you
I
love
like
it,
the one
dude.
where you have an emo haircut and a gray beard.
Yeah,
That's the good one.
The Ken Burns.
Yeah, the Ken Burns. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
They're
like,
not gonna steal shit.
hey, everybody, just heads up. Facebook, it's like, there's no difference between you and your fucking dumbass, like, boomer parents that are like, Facebook has a thing that says that they're all of your data is going to be used.
Yeah, it's like chain email parents send
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
They like fax each other.
It's
that they-
all
Facebook
Russians are
steal
bad.
them.
It's a Russian company, which means they're going to use your face to make Hillary Clinton not president again.
Yeah, they don't think that they don't think that there are dark powers
Not in America.
that exist that own our faces already.
Mhm.
But they're just Google and Amazon or
Yeah,
whatever.
dude.
Yeah,
Mhm. It's also you like
and China.
yeah.
Isn't Amazon hooking ice up or some shit?
Well, the ICE uses like or INS uses fucking AWS like cloud services.
Gotcha.
So I know employees are mad about that.
Did you guys see that ICE agent with the big ass titties?
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
I didn't see that she had the big titties. I just saw that she was a spicy.
You saw the
chicha.
La chicha.
What if she has to be tamed sexually and then the
Come.town is where I'm selling shirts. Soon to be the place, eventually, where you can buy tickets to our live shows. I'm going to have that.
Nice.
I'm going to integrate that Cometown.events.
And we got a little meeting. We're working on something. We're trying to come to the U.S., so stay tuned for all three boys.
A lot of people
are going
don't
to start
know,
coming.
but we're actually all expats. And this show is recorded
on St. James Island.
Yeah, on Little St.
Little
James.
St. James.
On Big St. James.
Big St. James.
We only fuck big fat bitches.
Fat whores. With
How
fat
much
titties.
weirder would that be? As if there was a guy with a private island where he had a bunch of just BBW sex slaves.
That would be. I mean, until they became slaves, that sounds like an awesome place.
I'm just hearing steel drum in my mind right now.
Dude, I'm trying to go to Big St. James, honestly.
To the guy named Jeffrey Jackson, he's like, "It's my island. It ain't none of your damn business. You keep goddamn hands off my motherfucking island." Just big bitch
Jeffrey
island.
Jackson.
Yeah, and then it's like all the buildings look like that weird Egyptian temple.
Yeah.
Except there's one that's just a regular house, and they're like, "What the fuck is this? What is this weird regular looking house?"
Just one McMansion.
Yeah.
No, it's just like a house.
They ain't no weird hotep worship going on. With just fucking big bitches here, bringing some of the top players from around the world. We got George Clinton. We got George Clinton flying in on a private flight.
People rising.
Half of British P-Funk has visited Big St. James Island. Manny Fresh, Chris Tucker.
Manny Fresh. The big timers are
big
definitely
timers
over
are
at Big St.
reunited.
James
Yeah.
Island.
Baby and Manny Fresh.
All of Cash Money Records.
Silk the Shocker.
Silk the Shocker is definitely there, dude.
C Murder,
Clips.
who's I think in jail still.
Clips, and Birdman hanging out at Big St. James Island.
Yep.
Like literally just a room full of guys just rubbing
Free
their-
Max B and send him to Big St. James Island.
Max B needs to get out.
Let him be on house arrest at Big St. James Island.
That's an official Cometown stance.
Yeah.
He got a raw deal.
Yeah.
And he invented the term wavy.
Yeah. It's like people are trying to figure out what Jeffrey Jackson's business actually is. And he's like, we selling clothes, but they also sell phone accessories. Like, it doesn't make any sense. No, what you have to understand is it's a multi-level marketing operation.
I love Big St. James Island.
Oh man, I want to go.
That would be great.
All the players, all the best
We're
players.
inviting some of the top players from around the world.
Some of the top players. Oh god, that's Valhalla. That's the paradise that I'm trying to go to.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hello, America. My name is Adam Friedland. I want to tell you guys about someone that's come into my life and changed my life.
People don't want to accept that unfortunately the Holocaust happened because Hitler needed a better reason than they're annoying. So he had to write this book, but really Jews control the media and the banks. Yeah, people are like, those are two good things to control. And then the Jewish bankers and Jews that control the media go, how dare you say that? This man will never work again. He's being nice. Yeah.
You know they believe you. No, these fucking retards believe anything you say.
Entered the synagogue and opened fire.
He shouted, "I want to kill Jews."
Clearly a hate crime.
History of posting anti-Semitic messages
Deploying
on the
their heavy
internet.
weapons teams to houses of worship across the city of New York.
You humiliate me. You disgrace me. Now when the time comes to kill you, and it will, I will not use a weapon. I will use my hands, because I want you to feel the way that I feel right now.
Do not hang up on me again. I will kill you. I will come to that office. Don't fuck with me. I am in ISIS. I support ISIS. I'm a member of ISIS.
I came just like you asked for.
Someone trying to charge the newest album called Galaxy Arcade.
I look at him and I go,
If you get raped by a pack of niggers, it'll be your fault.
First they think you're crazy, then they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world.
Berlusconi flatly denies that any mafia money helped him to get a start in real estate.
I've always had a thing for black people. I like black people.
I'm telling you, these stories are funnier than the jokes you can tell.
I said, what the fuck is a brain scientist? I was like, that's not a real job. Tell me the truth. But anyway.
No worries, man. It's all good. All right. We ready?
Yeah. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, welcome to Grubstakers, the podcast about billionaires. My name is Sean P. McCarthy, and I'm joined by my friends
Yogi Polywall,
Steve Jeffers,
Andy Palmer.
And so back in January, we did this episode about Jeffrey Epstein, and very proud of it. I think it turned out very well. It's so well that, in fact, that he was arrested in July. And
proud of you guys for making that happen.
For that episode, we were thrilled to be joined by Matt Christman of Chapo Trap House.
He couldn't make it today.
Yeah. And we're very thankful for a follow-up episode where he is here as well. Matt, thank you for being here.
Oh, love talking Epstein.
Yes. And the only way that episode could be better is if we also had the Hannibal Buress to Epstein's Bill Cosby, the man who popularized the myth.
Famous comedian Jeffrey Epstein.
We're joined by one of the funniest comics I know. Nick Mullen is here as well.
Hello. And
we're just really thrilled, and I'm sure the audience is as well, to be able to sit and listen to these two great minds in this conspiracy theory, the Chomsky and Foucault debates of Pizzagate, as it were. But I guess I wanted to ask both of you just to start, if having looked at Epstein before this arrest in July and some of the press reports that have come out today, is there anything that have surprised you so far about what you've seen and learned?
The temple thing was weird. I mean, that was where it's like, come on,
man,
you know,
holy shit.
Right. I mean, it's like, it's like, oh yeah, we found this like big obelisk that says on the side there actually is a basement in comic paper. And it's like, okay, well, why would you build that? Why do you have that on your island? And people are like, I don't know. Maybe it's because he's Jewish. He's a Jewish person and they like building things. So that's a possible explanation. It could be a storage shed for tools.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah, the first time I saw the temple, I just thought, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's only two explanations. The one is it's exactly what it looks like, and you're dealing with Moloch worshipping reptilians, or they're all just like really fucking irony poisoned cutesy motherfuckers who Jesus, who love winking at what other people think they're doing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you think we're doing temple worship rituals? That's so funny. No, we just fuck the kids. we don't do any of that stuff, you dumbasses. But we'll wind you up and make you get upset about it."
If anyone's wondering what's being described here about the temple, like go on YouTube and just look up Epstein Island drone.
Right.
And
yeah. Well, it's this weird temple that's got kind of like a like an Eastern look to it, and then there's like bird statues on top, and then statues of either Neptune or
possibly Saturn.
Right.
There's a sundial too.
There's a sundial. And
the insider said it was Poseidon.
Yeah,
trident wielding Poseidon is on the temple.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, but the thing that sucks is that like 4chan knew about all this already.
Right.
Like, this was all just like Pizzagate stuff. All of it was like, you know, like QAnon stuff.
Right.
They already knew about the temple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, like this is not like news to anybody that was already like into Clinton baby eating conspiracy.
That was the thing, is like we did this episode with Matt in January, and so I looked at like 4chan threads, and I would always see Epstein as a Mossad agent, and I would just think, oh, well, they're just saying that because he's Jewish, and they just assume all Jews are in Mossad.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, he actually probably is a Mossad.
Yeah, it's not like the Mossad
what
does
else are
nothing.
They right about?
You know what I mean? Like they do things. Like they have a fucking job, you know? I mean, is it really that far at it? Like maybe they're doing it to fuck with the Olympics again? I don't know. We won't know until everything shakes out.
Because that's the job of intelligence agencies, is to compromise people who have influence. You know, it's like he's an American. He has all these connections to American, you know, politics and business and Israel. Like Jonathan Pollard, there's a long tradition of them spying on the United States. He'd be a fantastic asset.
Yeah, Mossad, Epstein was in that Steven Spielberg movie Munich.
Mm-hmm.
He was,
yeah, I can't wait till we get Eric Bana as Jeffrey Epstein and Daniel Craig as Bill Clinton.
Epstein was the guy who killed that waiter in Lilyhammer.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't want to see the sex scene at the end with Bana as Epstein. It'd be even more cringe-inducing than.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. It's tight, right?
It's good.
I remember liking it in theaters, but I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, it's good. But there's that scene at the end where he's having sex with his wife and he's flashing back on the Munich killings. And it's very over the top. One of the few Spielberg sex scenes, and it reminds you why he doesn't do them that often.
Yeah.
And it makes you think.
Except in E.T. That entire movie is technically a sex scene. Yeah. It's about an alien that comes and he gets to do whatever he wants with children. And no one questions him, except the government. He's the piece of shit government.
He's just a penis. E.T.'s a penis. Like the way his neck moves.
Right. He's a very
bulbous head.
Yeah, he's a man that's been kept alive for thousands of years by doing intergalactic travel, finding children to have sex with. And now this bastard New Order government wants to take that away from him, even though this has been the system forever.
That's how we get interdimensional travel.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the temple thing, like that, like I guess, you know, more mainstream media picked up on the story, like after the you know, the Epstein arrest. And like what I saw more than anything was like some interview with just some general contractor.
Right.
They talked to some like fucking Joe the plumber guy that's like, well, it's got, you know, a lock on the outside of the door. That's pretty weird. You know? And then like that was all anybody talked about. And it's like, oh, you know, also there can't be an elevator in there because you know, the contractors would, you know, the contractors would know about it. And it's like, well, the government hires contractors all the time to fucking build like, you know, secret projects. There's plenty of people that'll build things for, you know,
if anyone
enough
knows how to
money.
silence people, it's Epstein. It's not
exactly
that hard to fucking fake a goddamn elevator.
There's really strict Department of Buildings codes law with regards to sacrificial temples to Moloch.
Exactly. But anyways, it's like that door on the outside with the lock on it is just painted on. It's like a facade. There's nothing in there, or it's, you know, it's flush. You can see where it's, you know, there's not even that indentation on the wall, but it's modeled after, I guess 4chan found this bathhouse in Syria, with, you know, that's got the palm trees, the pattern on the outside, the gold dome. Everything looks similar to this bathhouse. But what's crazy is, did you follow that Isaac Cappy thing?
No.
So Isaac Cappy was an actor who was like going nuts. He accused a bunch of other people. He accused Seth Green of pedophilia. He said he used to be friends with Seth Green, and Seth Green like brought him into some secret room in his house, and he's like, this is where we have sex with kids, you know, or whatever. And then he like increasingly would just, you know, he became like a pedo-gate guy.
That could have been Colin Quinn if he got the part in Austin Powers.
Yeah, he released all these videos and then killed himself. He jumped off a bridge, but like witnesses saw like two people like trying to stop him. But it's like, you know, I mean, I don't know how two people can't restrain a guy from
From
jumping off a fucking from jumping off a fucking bridge. So it's like, there's a theory that maybe they pushed him off, or who knows what. But he released a weird video, and now they all have this thing where like everybody has like a dead man switch, like a video that uploads when they die.
Right.
And there was a video circulating that I may or may not be related to Cappy, probably not, that says like this was taken at Jeffrey Epstein's island, and it was a bathhouse in Turkey, and it's a bunch of like little girls wearing like ceremonial togas, filling the bath with water and looking like sad. And it's like just this bizarre video. And then people were like, no, this is from this like bathhouse in Turkey, and they like sourced it. But then it turns out the temple is like modeled after this fucking bathhouse in Syria. And it's like, I don't know, man. There's all this like weird shit that is sort of connected one way or the other. But that's my understanding of the state of things thus far.
Well, it's so fucking bizarre because he builds that temple, Jeffrey Epstein does, after he gets out of prison. Like 2009 to 2013 is our estimate of when it's built. And I did like he had to like submit an estimate of his finances to the government. So supposedly someone probably tried to value the temple. Can't really do comparable sales to get that one. But it is just something where, it's very bizarre and it's hard to get around, I guess, an occult explanation.
You would evaluate it with its highest and best use. So, I mean, it's a great location for
privacy.
Any manner of private rituals with children. To gain influence with the wealthy.
Maybe there's like a submarine bay or a Stargate down there or something.
What's weird is how shitty it looks.
Yeah, it's got like ladders and like cheap.
Well, the ladder is like a Freemasons reference, I think. It's supposed to be. The ladder's not like. I think that's supposed to be there.
Wait, the one that's inside of it?
No, the one on the outside.
Oh, no.
You're talking about, there's like scaffolding
they look in the
and
windows.
shit.
It looks like they're working on it.
Well, they're working on, they were obviously like tearing something down. I don't know what work needs to be done on it, a decade after it was built.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just looks shitty. Like it just doesn't look like it is particularly well made.
Yeah, it does have that McMansion kind of.
Yeah, well, yeah, it looks like a maintenance shed that's been like dolled up for some reason. So it's like it adds to this idea that something's like amiss with this whole thing. It's just everything about it is just fucking weird,
I think he built it so that people like it's like an insurance policy. If he gets caught, it'll be like his rich friends were like, "You got to build this. It'll be so funny when you get caught. Everyone sees it. At least you'll have that."
Yeah, like I understand. Even if it's like, yeah, I'm like, I'm a fucking millionaire or billionaire. I go around the world. I travel all the time. I got a taste for fucking bathhouses in Syria. This is like my favorite bathhouse. I wanted my own bathhouse. Rich people do dumb shit like that all the time. But it's like why you would make a shitty version of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Another Coney Island piece of trash gets rich and builds a fucking satanic sacrifice temple.
That's his whole thing is he makes himself look much richer than he is to gain influence.
Well, he has the island, and then some people were like, oh, well, it's because like the contractors you get down there, they can't do the kind of work that actually like, like cope the inside of that, alcove or whatever, and put a door in, which is like pretty basic shit. Like it doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't be able to do that.
You should go punch up the island, Nick.
Yeah,
you're into woodworking now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just do the Property Brothers episode. Jeffrey Epstein's island. Yeah, we're thinking open floor plan. While Jeremy gets started on the work, I'm going to be downstairs in the basement.
So we're going to need to fill in this mass grave over here with cement and make it into a basketball court before we get this thing on the market.
I wish I could do something about this altar, but it's load bearing. We're stuck with it.
Yeah, we were thinking about making this a nursery. Oh, you're planning on having kids? Yeah, about 500.
They get into some fight with the Historical Preservation Society.
Yeah. It's so funny, too, because imagine you're just like somebody that lives on the U.S. Virgin Islands. I don't know what like the closest one to this is.
Yeah.
And you take your boat out to go fishing and you get like fucked up and you accidentally end up here. You're like, oh, I'm just trying to get back to my house. Or however they talk.
Just lost on the island.
I took a wrong turn, man. I'm trying to get back to
They're just fitting you for a robe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rewatched Eyes Wide Shut.
Great movie.
Yeah. Just that guy. They're like, okay, well, do you know the password? I don't know. I'm just trying to go. But the other password. I don't know. I come here and they say this is where you. I come. My board was just parked.
But we should, I guess, mention with regards to his wealth, his lawyers submitted something that said he was worth $559 million, and then they have, properties. He has the little St. James Island. They said worth $60 million. Great St. James Island worth $22 million. Property in Paris, property in New Mexico, property in Florida, the Manhattan Mansion. But I guess the point is, essentially, they have every reason to lowball that. Like Miami Herald found like $4.5 million in Paradise Papers accounts that he didn't declare. So the reality is, like, yeah, he's probably close to a billionaire, if not an actual straight up billionaire.
Yeah.
And it is just something where.
But isn't everyone a billionaire now? Isn't that what they're telling us? Everybody's got $1 billion.
But I guess.
Except me and my friends.
But, I guess we could just kind of go through. He was denied bail, of course. He had like $70,000 cash in his safe. They found 48 loose diamonds, like various carats, which is like very good when you need to bail. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Prosecutor said he's not valuing his art and his diamonds collection, which like those are very good for money laundering because you can sell art, like Sotheby's never checks shit. It's a very good store of value if you need like access to $100 million in a pinch.
Easier to transport to cash too.
Yeah, that's what the guy from the 1MDB scandal that we talked about before, Joe Lowe, did. Like when he went on the run after he got caught, he just took a bunch of Picassos with him, and that's how he's living.
Yeah.
But, and so, of course, they also found an Austrian passport from the 1980s, which listed his residence as Saudi Arabian residence.
Yeah.
And it's just all this kind of stuff where they denied bail because obviously he's a flight risk, but it raises the question if he was actually in intelligence, like CIA.
I think it's like clear that he was.
You think so?
Yeah. Why would he have an Austrian passport? With there was a fake name on there too, wasn't
right.
there?
Yeah,
it was a fake name.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no reason for that. I mean, you can say, "Oh, yeah, he used to have citizenship somehow." It's like that doesn't explain why he has a fake name.
Yeah, and they tried to because the government used that as evidence for his flight risk, and then then the defense attorney said, "Well, he used that in the 80s during the era of hijackings." To prevent Muslim terrorists from realizing he was Jewish and killing him or something, Leon Klinghofering him or something. And then the other thing they said, and he never used it. It was just a safe, in case thing. And then they pointed out, well, there's a bunch of stamps in it, there's fucking passport stamps in it. It was used, and they had no answer for that. But if it's a fake passport, then it couldn't have been used by anybody else, right? Because it's got his picture in it.
Yeah.
So that just can't be the case. He had to have been using this thing. He literally was traveling under an assumed name.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's of course that Daily Beast, Vicky Ward reported that Alex Acosta, the former labor secretary at the time U.S. attorney, he told the Trump transition that I was told Epstein, quote, belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. He said he took one meeting about this and then left it alone. He didn't deny that. Alex Acosta didn't deny that at a press conference. And then I found in 2001, there was a British journalist named Nigel Roser who was writing about the royal family because Prince Andrew was hanging out with Epstein. And he said Epstein, quote, has a license to carry a concealed weapon and once claimed to have worked for the CIA, although he now denies it. It's it's impossible to get a license for a gun in New York City.
Yeah, him and Trump are the only ones.
It's something like there's 15 people that have fucking concealed carry permits.
Trump did claim that he was one of them.
Really?
Yeah, he did. He said that, which is one of his best, funniest lies. Because the idea of him carrying a gun.
There's a gun store in Chinatown, and if you go in there, I went in there one time, there's a Chinese guy that works there. He's like, yeah, get out, no license, you get out. It's like, this is your business. Yeah, you don't have license, get out if you don't have it. Immediately. Nobody goes in there.
Right.
But it is something where it's Ghislaine Maxwell is accused, she hasn't been charged with anything, of essentially in multiple sworn affidavits of being
caring too much about the ocean.
Of being his pimp, bringing underage girls to him.
Mm-hmm. And, actually, the term is bottom bitch. Yeah, your bottom dollar bitches. She's not the pimp, he's the pimp. And her job is to turn out new women.
But so yeah, her dad, Robert Maxwell, was like almost. There was an entire book written about how he was in Mossad. He was a British publisher who turned up dead in 1991. He washed up off his yacht after he was either pushed or jumped in the ocean. And he was British citizen, and he got a state funeral in Israel, where the speaker there said nobody will ever know how much he has done for Israel.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like it makes sense where Epstein meets his daughter Ghislaine Maxwell around 1991, and then from there is where most of the abuse allegations come from the 90s, early 2000s. So it's like, I mean, it's totally conceivable he's either CIA or Mossad.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like the other thing that's kind of the open question is that Virginia Roberts is one of the accusers who sued Ghislaine Maxwell in 2015 for defamation because she called her a liar for saying Ghislaine Maxwell molested her along with Epstein.
Yeah.
And then they settled, but these 2,000 pages related to that are all under seal, and then the Second Appeals Court has ordered them to be unsealed, and they might even be unsealed next week.
It's crazy that no one will care if it is just a weird Mossad thing. No one will fucking care at all that we spent billions of dollars that was funneled to us from U.S. taxpayers to make every elite in America rape children for some reason. And then people will be like, I don't know. Meanwhile, a Russian person makes one face emoji app. And they're like, it's a police state. They're using your data to do something.
I'm just imagining them like whipping votes for the outlaw BDS vote with the Epstein tapes.
Yeah.
What if all of like the politicians who are like it's a Mossad operation to blackmail all these politicians, and they're all like thrown in jail, and then all the worst case scenario stuff happens to Israel, like they're immediately invaded now that America's pulled out of everything.
I mean, Whoopsie daisy. Whoops.
But that's the thing. It's if it is like some sort of intelligence operation, then it kind of makes you wonder, why would that be necessary? Because do you really need to do that to keep American elites on board with supporting Israel?
Well, if that is the thing that has been doing it,
I guess
there's not, like the amount of support for Israel is only like just fucking increased. Right. With less need for it in the last like 30 years. And it's like, what if that's the fucking keystone to the whole thing, is that they're all on tape sodomizing an 8-year-old in a weird Syrian bathhouse?
Yeah, I mean, that might be it. I have no idea. But I think there's the alternate explanation is that it's not necessarily that the order of operations is sort of the other way, is that this is just a thing that happens, that Epstein filled a role that elite society needed of this procurer that could be trusted. I mean, his career path really does look like somebody who was literally groomed and drafted up through the ranks at every level by people more powerful than him, with the idea that he had some value add to provide to them, which absolutely had nothing to do with his genius math abilities.
Yeah. Instead of the next James Bond being a black lady, it should just be a pedophile. Or it should be a black lady pedophile. She should be just having sex with children.
Finally, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Girl, we're showing that we can do it too.
Well, we wanted to do two things with this one: is more representation, obviously, but also a more accurate look at MI6 and what really goes on in the intelligence community.
But I mean, so this is a network that like persists. It's a need that's filled in the elite community, and that the intelligence aspect sort of comes afterwards as something that they are aware of, because they couldn't not be if they're like even basely competent, and something that needs to be basically monitored. Like, it's like, oh God, they're fucking kids again. Well, we got to make sure we know what's going on, who's involved, that so nobody who is genuinely like outside of the power nexus might get in there, like insinuate themselves, that might like create a situation where they have leverage to like fuck up what is conceived as American or Israeli interests. And it's just sort of like it's the intelligence department, the intelligence industry, or intelligence agencies are aware of this. They monitor it to keep a track on it and make sure that it isn't compromising them, and that they're not really like. It's good to have in the back pocket to have these people's child fucking on record, but they're going to do what rich people do. The elite are going to do what they do. Like, they're going to do what is seen as in the interests of, the United States and their client states like Israel and Saudi Arabia. And they're going to cement those relationships through kid fucking ritually. And the CIA and Mossad are sort of just there to like stand outside the door and make sure that like no rogue Russians or something, or like a Chinese guy with like a USB stick shows up. So that like at the next trade conference, President Xi can just like pull up a PowerPoint presentation. And all of a sudden we're on the yawn and the United dollar is gone.
Yeah.
Let Huawei in.
Yeah, but if you had a video of President Xi eating children, I don't think anyone in China would care.
No, that's the beauty part. Like, they're hardened against it.
Yeah, you can't compromise.
We're the only one. Exactly.
You can't compromise a Chinese person.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have a video of them as a child referring to an adult by their first name. That's like the only thing that
violating Confucian filial piety.
Yeah.
But it is something where there was that article in Vanity Fair by Gabe Sherman, and he quotes the appeals court ruling that says these 2,000 pages that are supposedly to be unsealed soon contain allegations against, quote, numerous prominent American politicians, powerful business executives, foreign presidents, a well-known prime minister, who I'm going to guess is
got to be Barack,
of Israel, Israeli prime minister 1999 to 2001, and other world leaders, unquote. So it's something where it's like there's just a lot of speculation, which maybe we could add to, but just from this like Vanity Fair article, in the past decade, a source close to Epstein said, a guy who'd done business with Epstein said Bill Gates, Larry Summers, and Steve Bannon visited the mansion, and this would be after he got out of prison.
See, whenever I remember I read about the Bannon thing a few weeks ago, and I just immediately thought of that story about that fucking acid-scorched bathtub at that rental property he had. You know about that, Nick?
No.
So he had this very messy litigation in Miami a few years ago before he started Breitbart, I think, when he was just sort of like running around doing coke and like trying to set up entertainment deals. He had a rental home in Miami, and he was sued by the owner after he left for just catastrophic damage. Like, they just turn it into a fucking crack house, basically. Just complete shit on the walls type stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they reported is that the very expensive marble bathtub had acid burns on it.
Oh, it's to like dissolve a body?
I mean, that's what I thought immediately, and I was like, LOL. And now it's like, Bannon hanging out with Epstein. That makes me think even more. He's just dissolving fucking bodies in there.
Yeah, it's funny. I read that Don Simpson biography recently, and compared to the rest of them, it's like he was like a fucking Mormon, basically. It's like there's just nothing.
He would hire prostitutes who were of age.
Yeah.
And he'd slap them around, but he would also pay them and never dissolve any of them in acid.
He would have them fuck him.
Yeah.
And shit. And do like weird, like they would wear strap-ons, and he was into all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
And
nobody got dissolved.
Nobody was dissolved. Don Simpson never had anyone murdered. He was just a fucking
supported sex workers.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was a moron that hated himself, and but he was slick.
Yeah.
and he could like sell shitty movies.
Well, it is something where, so these documents, these 2,000 pages, they all relate to Virginia Roberts is one of the accusers. She was trafficked by Epstein between 99 and 2002.
That's the Billy Joel songs. Billy Joel met her. He's the one that turned her out. He was there at Epstein's place.
That's what In the
They're
Air
like,
Tonight
we got
is
a problem. Billy's drunk and he's writing songs again. Billy's writing songs. He's using everyone's real name.
He's writing a sequel to We Didn't Start the Fire. Yeah. It's just a list of everyone on the flight logs. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton.
But yeah, so like Virginia Roberts has alleged that Alan Dershowitz.
If you think about it, Long Island is the original pedophile island. That's the original Little St. James is Long Island in its entirety.
Virginia Roberts has alleged that Alan Dershowitz raped her at the New Mexico mansion. So the thing is, like, I don't know if we mentioned this.
Did I tell you, this is I started telling people because I don't think they give a shit, but I visited the Lampoon. We did a show in Boston.
The Harvard.
Yeah. And so I guess Dersh's grandson wrote for the Lampoon for a little bit, and so all these like
I bet
Lampoon
his
kids,
fucking packet is amazing.
these Lampoon kids like knew him or whatever, and they were like, he was kind of lame. And he's like, but one time he told it he was like bragging about losing his virginity, and he had just gone on vacation with his fucking grandpa. And he's like, and after all that fucking Epstein shit came out, we like figured out what dates those were, and they were like when he was like, I brought my grandson on the plane. So it like fucking lines up with like him getting like fucking a child, getting his like bring his grandson along to get his cherry popped on the
Jesus Christ.
Now that's all fucking hearsay or whatever. But I would someone from Harvard lie?
That's never happened.
He's a co-head writer on SNL now.
Yeah.
But so I guess I just mentioned that because another thing is Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book was, the housekeeper in Palm Beach tried to sell this. He got charged with extortion for it. He tried to sell it to one of the attorneys, and he died in 2014. But before he sold this Black Book, and you can look at it on Gawker, he circled names that he's alleged were either witnesses or perpetrators. And the thing is, like, former Democrat New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson happens to be circled in there. Another New Mexico governor is in there as well. So it's just something where it's like we're speculating about what's in these 2,000 pages.
When that came out initially, because like I started getting interested in Epstein again after the Kevin Spacey thing, because it's like Kevin Spacey ties into Singer or whatever. And I was more concerned with David Geffen and Spielberg, who I think are like, also pedophiles, just on the Hollywood
Well, that's
side.
the other 4chan thing, so we should probably take that.
And Epstein's the nexus, though, because like Spacey's there. Spacey's heavy on Epstein too.
Yeah, Spacey's there or whatever. But Chris Tucker is on those like flight logs, and I remember looking at it and then seeing somebody be like, "Oh, it's a different Chris Tucker." I'm like,
that's what I thought too. Yeah,
that makes sense. But then you look into it, and it's like it's that Chris Tucker, and it's like, what if Chris Tucker is the one behind it? Nobody's really considered that.
Bam! I mean, the guy, he's literally only been in 4 movies in the last 20 years.
No, it's fucking the Rush Hour movies, Fifth Element, and then that's it.
That's
right?
it.
That is it.
That's it.
Why is he hanging out with Bill Clinton and fucking and Michael Jackson and all these like huge celebrities?
They love Rush Hour.
Yeah.
It's like every 4 years, he's like, I need to justify why I'm like involved here.
Right.
Let me hang out with Jackie Chan for in front of a green screen for 2 weeks.
Right, and so from that Gabe Sherman article, a person involved with litigation against Epstein told him, quote, "It's going to be staggering the amount of names. It's going to be contagion numbers." Just like the kind of people who would be in these, 2,000 pages and subsequent disclosures. But I guess like if you're like a D-list, you're probably hoping there's a lot of A-listers in there. Just kind of keep.
We all move up, dude.
Yeah, everyone.
I'm gonna be fucking Tom Cruise. I got his spot. I get to fuck Nicole Kidman. Damn, she's so hot in that movie.
Yeah.
Damn.
I was thinking like, so the other thing is like, what's his name? The Washington Post guy, Dave Weigel. He reported that they found like CDs with writings on it like young name and then name, which are supposedly like the blackmail CDs, that these names together.
Think about how many of them are on jazz drives. So they didn't account for media changing.
Yeah.
What if that's the reason that fucking that like optical media or removable media has changed? The reason they had to push SD cards is because Bill Clinton's on a fucking on a floppy disk somewhere.
Nobody can look at the CD anymore.
We gotta come up with. Let's push those thumb drives. Let's get those going, and then we're gonna switch to the cloud.
But yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, that's the reason there's a push to the cloud, because the cloud can be hacked and compromising material can be destroyed.
Yeah, it's all got to be hardware. Other than like they've got a bunch of like private line wires, but you turn that on, your computer just melts immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they also found a CD in there labeled Stanley Kubrick Heart Attack Gun.
Yeah. I mean, I am intrigued by that argument that like that Eyes Wide Shut is his attempt to sort of shine a light on these people that he was aware of. And that fucking scene, you just watched it, the scene with him and Sidney Pollack in the billiard room.
Yeah.
That is one of those, sort of Ned Beatty Network type moments of, like really looking into the eye of power and how terrifying it is.
Yeah.
But it's still so fucking coy. Yeah.
He's like, they were just doing that to mess with you.
Yeah. And also, they're just like having sex with adult prostitutes wearing stupid masks. It's not that bad, really. It's just pretentious, honestly. It's like, just fuck a girl on a fucking, on a pile of money. What are you doing with this stupid... You don't need to do all this shit if you're just having normal sex with an adult person.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about a couple names that are speculated to be linked here. The billionaire Leon Black is a private equity guy. We'll get back to him in a second. He was a frequent dinner guest of Epstein's, according to a Vanity Fair profile before Epstein got arrested. Ronald Perelman, another billionaire. Glenn and Eva Dubin. Apparently Glenn Dubin's a hedge fund billionaire. But Eva Dubin, some articles have pointed out that she was one of the people who helped get Epstein back into Manhattan high society after he got out of prison. She founded Mount Sinai's Breast Cancer Center, and she also just happens to have her name circled in Epstein's black book. So it's something where it's like she's a former Miss Sweden and New York socialite who Epstein dated at one point, and who obviously after prison tried to helped him get back into Manhattan society.
She wrote a letter to Epstein's probation officer saying that she feels 100% comfortable with Epstein around her family and her teenage daughter at the time.
Right.
And there's no reason to say that.
Right. Exactly.
There's I attest to his character. This is a good man that fucked up. That's it. You don't have to be like, I would let him spend private time with my child. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I can't remember the exact details, but have you read the theories that is it not Menendez or Ramirez? Which is the brothers? Menendez brothers.
Oh yeah,
they were being pimped out by their parents.
What the
to like Hollywood people. Like there was like that pedo gate, and that's why they flipped out and fucking killed their parents. Is because they were being like sex trafficked by their parents, basically.
And the thing is, like, people sort of have just written off what they said about what their parents did, but you know, the first trial was a mistrial largely because they were considered credible by the jury. Like they believed them.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that fucking even the Michael Jackson documentary, and they like try to paint those parents in a more sympathetic light, but it's like, you were pimping your fucking child out to Michael Jackson.
Right.
You know what the fuck is going on. Like, there's no way you don't know that. I don't know. It's like, it's not a thing where it's like, you know, people like fuck up and leave their kid in the car. That's just like absent-mindedness.
Right.
I don't care how fucking stupid you are. If somebody's like a rich person is like, I want to hang out with your boy one-on-one and have him sleep in my bed. It's like, at no point you know you're making a fucking deal with the devil there. They're like, yes, he's probably molesting my son, but he took us to Cirque du Soleil. So if that's the sacrifice I need to make to see French clowns, I'll do it.
I mean,
I'll do it.
We got to meet
just
Barbra
let me in there.
Streisand.
Yeah, it's not just rhythmic gymnastics; they do other things.
And that is awful, but you know, you're exploiting people's desperation, their desire to be around celebrity, their desire to be at a higher level than they can. But like these people the people who came out of the woodwork to stick their neck outs to defend Epstein after he got out of jail. That it's you look at the culture of like ass covering and public relations around really rich, powerful, famous people. All of that goes out the window for this guy who got just convicted by whatever you want to say the charge was. Everyone knew was fucking kids, fucking young women.
Those people are defending themselves
Girls.
because it's like no one in that. I mean, especially like fucking Hollywood. We work in the entertainment industry. You know how it works. People are waiting for you to fail.
Yeah.
You get something good. People are like, I'm so happy for you. The second things start looking bad, they got the biggest shit-eating grin on their face. Of course, they can't. Everyone in this business, people who have known fucking like Steven Spielberg for 50 years. You pick the most successful guy you can think of in Hollywood. If they like, oh, my car broke down and now like all my movies are like tanking or whatever, people would love it. And they would love to be like, oh, I don't know him anymore. You know, they would love to. That's like the entire entertainment industry is built on results and not giving a shit about people as individuals. So for anyone, especially elites, to like say like, no, he's actually a good guy, it's like it's entirely just projection.
Exactly. They have to be protecting themselves, protecting a culture that that they're part of a thing where Epstein is an integral element, where he needs to be able to be certain that he will be vouched for, that he will not be left out in the cold, that they will not be made vulnerable by that.
They probably got a video of John Voight fucking Angelina Jolie. I would not be surprised if there's not a video of him from like fucking 35 years ago making his daughter blow him.
He did really get really invested in Israel over the last few years. He really cares about Israel a lot.
Yeah, I think about
He's
that.
not even Jewish.
He's not even Jewish, and it's like it's always unprompted. It'll be like the biggest story will be like fucking, Lee Iacocca died, and then John Voight's like, if you don't love Israel, you should fucking kill yourself. You should die. You should a horrible death. And people are like, well, John, what are you? No one's saying anything. There's no reason for this.
He's like a fucking got a name like a fucking Obergruppenführer, and he can't not spend his days screaming about Israel. Very late in life.
Yeah.
Right. Very late in life conversion to Israel first as his entire politics. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they got that video.
Oh, yeah.
On an 8mm somewhere.
Yeah.
I did want to highlight one name that I haven't seen in the press reports that I found from looking through this book James Patterson wrote, or his co-writers wrote.
Is it Bill Still's Money Changer?
The president
family?
is missing.
'Cause Bill
that Mario and Luigi inspired.
Well, the funny thing is, so James Patterson did another interview with New York Magazine about this book after the Epstein arrest, and he said something to the effect of like, yeah, we looked into the Bill Clinton thing, and there wasn't anything there. So,
well, see that?
Oh, yeah, I saw that interview, which is so funny, because he's like, it's like that's what he was waiting for the entire time, is to exonerate Bill Clinton. He's like, yeah, Epstein, it's like, it happened in 2006 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that they finally got the guy, because, this is a really bad guy. He's the bad guy. That's important to remember. And they're like, well, what about Bill Clinton? No.
Well, see, that's just it. It's like, if Epstein is the nexus of this sort of power elite pedophile ring that he really does look like he is more and more, then how is he on trial? How has he... And there's only two real explanations. One is the Q is 100% correct, and the Trump is doing white hat, like a 30-year-long, undercover... Like, he went to the island for recon or whatever, and he's like, I'm going to get you guys when I become president, and now he's springing the trap.
I love that story.
I mean, yeah, amazing. It's amazing, but just looking at his brain dissolve in front of you, unless he's doing that classic SNL sketch where Reagan with Phil Hartman, behind closed doors, he's got all the fucking Iran-Contra routes, and he's doing the math in his head and speaking 5 languages. Unless that's the case, then at some level there is deniability built into this. People are aware that there's enough connections cut. There isn't enough smoking gun stuff to connect to anybody who's really important, and this is what Nixon would have called a limited hangout, where you sacrifice what is no longer savable to keep everything else.
Yeah, I mean, there would be some sort of spinning off of people that you can sacrifice or whatever,
right?
With the throw them a bone, but. It's I like to think that Trump is sort of he is Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut, but instead of being that character, he's more of a Beverly Hills Ninja type, where he's gotten in there by accident, and they thought he was smarter than he was, and now he's ruining everything by being he's got an island. I mean, that fucking, because it's liberals are going nuts for that. He likes some of them beautiful women as much as I do. Some of them very young, which is funny because if you. Coverage of it links to that New York Magazine article, and you read it, and the next paragraph is just a glowing review by Bill Clinton of Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
But you read the whole thing, and that's part of that theory is that you look at that article, and Trump's basically calling him a pedophile, and then the rest of it is Bill Clinton being like, oh, actually, he's a good businessman, or whatever. It's not that it's some brilliant contrivance on Trump's part to sneak in that he's a pedophile. He's just hey, did you hear this guy fucks kids? Well, no, everybody does. No, I'm just saying, Bill, you fuck kids. I've seen you do it. I don't know. Oh, right. Yeah, it's Homer at the Stone Cutters.
That is true, because he was clearly aware of the stuff, and he is the only president, current or former, who has been accused in sworn affidavits of doing rape with Epstein. But he also used to brag about how much he was involved with the mafia.
Right.
Yeah. He would brag about it all the time. I get mob guys in here all the time. we do great business together, which they literally did. I mean, as he's a New York real estate guy, there's no other way. So yeah, and like none of like his brain is so special that like the fact that he is implicated in these things that now that he's president just doesn't compute.
Yeah,
like it's only what's right in front of him. It's like he probably doesn't even remember even that he fucked kids with Epstein. He's just like, that's a bad guy. And then like everyone on Fox News says, oh, he's connected to Bill Clinton. He's like, Bill Clinton, I knew it. These guys, they're fucking kids. It's like, yeah, you were fucking kids with them, dude. No, terrible.
Yeah. Which almost makes him sort of perfect. If he's this virus that just sort of destroys the system, I mean, it's great.
Yeah. No, it kind of is. It's like
I'll vote for a virus.
It really is. Like Trump is sort of like, one of those fucking like swine flus that develops by close proximity of human populations, like livestock. Like this culture we've created, like political, economic, empire, the media. It's like just created this fucking virus that just took over and just is now just blitzing the entire body politic.
Yeah, he's Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, and it's interesting because essentially Epstein was a Democrat fundraiser up until he was caught and convicted. So it's like,
Can I say real quick how great it is that Bill Clinton released a statement with such an obvious lie about how many times he was in the plane?
Well, he didn't. It wasn't a lie. It's just very like carefully Clinton.
Baby.
Yeah, it's Clinton-esque like craft work in terms of fucking like just like cutting the 4 trips.
right.
So 4 trips could equal 24, 26 different flights.
Oh.
Because each leg of the journey is like you got to stop, refuel, and then the plane takes off again. I mean, I don't know if they're direct flights or what, but so let's say he took 4 trips, 4 times,
He had layovers in the private plane.
Yeah, well, layovers, yeah, if they have to refuel or you don't want to sit on a plane for fucking 18, 19 hours, they are elites. There's no reason why they shouldn't stop.
Right.
If, we'll just spend the night in fucking Berlin or whatever, sleep in a hotel, get back on the plane and continue the flight. So, I mean, unless you're looking at like the actual flight logs, it does sort of work out. I don't believe it. I don't believe that it was 4 trips, but that's the kind of shit that, you can go through that whole statement and just, I mean, it's like so carefully fucking crafted. I mean, this is the is motherfucker.
Yeah.
So it's like everything in there checks out. But I mean, it's like really like a manipulation of language a way that.
Well, did you see that Ehud Barak statement?
Yeah,
that was like that too.
Yeah. My favorite thing in the Bill Clinton thing is like Bill Clinton was not aware of the crimes Jeffrey Epstein committed in 2009.
Right.
So not that he was convicted of, is not aware of the crimes he committed in 2009.
Yeah.
So he picks 1 year. And then says, I don't know what he did that year. That's how the statement plays. But the fact that like these people are so fucking stupid that they're going to be like, oh yeah, just lie. Nobody gives a shit. The people that still like Bill Clinton are going to like Bill Clinton no matter what.
He's just got that instinct.
Yeah.
It's like the lawyer, the inveterate ass covering lawyer thing.
Right. Yeah.
At this point,
no money down.
Oh,
Like-
just was Barack thing.
Yeah.
The pictures that were revealed of him going into Epstein's house. How fucking horny do you have to be? Because this is what it was 2000. It was 2016, right? Or was it 2014?
2015. I think.
2015. So well after he's already got the fucking the scarlet P on his jacket at all times.
Right.
And he's going into the house, and he knows he shouldn't be going to this fucking guy's house because he's got like a half-assed attempt to like cover his face. Like he's got the thing over his mouth, and then they like got 15 Russian, Manchurian candidates coming in, like sex workers coming in like within 5 minutes. And so he knows what's going to happen. He knows it's going to be revealed, but he just can't do it. He can't stop. He loves it too much.
Well, and so his statement was so funny to me because I think the quote he uses is like he visited him like more than 10 but less than 100 times.
God damn. Also, like more than 10.
Right.
He's a fucking pedophile. I have been around. I will say it right now. I have been in the company of a convicted pedophile precisely 0 times.
Right.
I don't have to give a range at all. And honestly, if you have to give a range of more than 1,
right,
you need to explain yourself. It's like, well, it could be 11, and if it's 11, what's the big deal? Now, if it was 102, we'd have to talk. But if it's 11, come on, haven't we all been there?
I'll come clean and say I was a couple times, but it was in the Boy Scouts and we didn't find out until later. That is true.
I would like it if somehow it turns out through some weird network that this was all brought about by that absolute unit guy that had his picture taken. That he's like the only good actor in all of this, and he somehow set it up that day with the Queen. And then he gets to come back into the spotlight.
Like that picture of him, like that was actually a coded, like mission go signal to everybody to get it going. Like we're going to bring on the network. The absolute lad has signed off.
But yeah, and Ehud Barak said he was on the island, but there was no child orgies there at the time or something like that. You know. But, so this one guy who's, I don't know how pivotal he is. I just didn't see him named in any press reports, and I thought this was interesting. So in the James Patterson book, Oren Kramer is a hedge fund guy. He started a hedge fund, Provident LP, in 1992, was an Obama fundraiser. Bill Clinton appointed him as a member of the, quote, Commission to Study Capital Budgeting. But from this James Patterson book, in 2008... Jeffrey Epstein in the mid-2000s convinces Alan Dershowitz to invest in this guy's hedge fund, which is going fine.
It's just Trump tries to become one of these guys, and he's like, oh, yeah, it's done a charity called the Good Guy Fund for Not Fucking Children. They're like, Donald, you can't, Donald, it's got to be more cryptic. You can't just call... Well, it's just that we don't fuck the kids.
That's a good example because he did have a phony charity, and he used it to buy paintings of himself.
Right. So Oren Kramer. So Jeffrey Epstein convinces Alan Dershowitz to invest with this guy. And then the story from Patterson's book is 2008, of course, the bottom falls out. So Alan Dershowitz loses all his money in this investment. The story is, in 2008, Jeffrey Epstein visits Oren Kramer at his Manhattan office and told him, quote, it's very much in your interest to make Alan Dershowitz whole, unquote. He makes Alan
Get
Dershowitz...
his foreskin back?
Yeah. He makes Alan Dershowitz whole. He refunds his money 100%. And so it's like, why the fuck do you do that if Jeffrey Epstein visits you? Like, how else are you going to get your money back from any Wall Street guy unless they have something on you? And what I found interesting is, according to Politico, as of a week ago, Oren Kramer is a major fundraiser for Pete Buttigieg. So it's something where it's like, again, Epstein was a major Democratic fundraiser, and then you have that fucking tweet from Nancy Pelosi's daughter,
best tweet in the world,
where it's like we think some of our
faves
are going to be caught up in this. So it's like you have to imagine there will be a lot of Democratic donors who are at least named in press accounts, if not actually charged with something.
Yeah, and they, like I was saying before that we recorded, they're all in the room with this guy because there's a relatively small group of people who are like big money fundraisers for, especially for Democrats.
Yeah,
and they have these fundraisers where they're all together, like they're in personal proximity. They know each other's businesses. One of the reasons they do this shit is to network with each other. Right? They know that this guy, even if they're not kid fuckers, they know that his whole stated business is bullshit, right? Because they're in the world, so they know he doesn't have a hedge fund. Because cursory look at this means, he doesn't have a hedge fund.
Yeah,
he doesn't have any of the evidence of a hedge fund.
Never does anything. Has no employees. Like does nothing hedge fund related.
Publishes no results.
Right.
Has no clients.
Yeah.
No patents on any algorithm or anything.
Yeah. Like no
evidence that he ever was in a circle of other hedge fund managers. Like,
he worked in finance in like the early 80s or something, and then his record from that time is bullshit, apparently.
Right.
No, the whole thing, his entire career is bullshit.
Yeah.
So he was a college dropout who got a job teaching math and physics at the Dalton School, very prestigious school in Manhattan, without qualifications. He's not qualified for that job.
Yeah.
While he's there, he is an open pervert. There was an article, I don't know if you saw this, about when he was at the Dalton School. You should read this shit.
Yeah.
He was like walking, it was in the 70s. He's walking around with like a shirt open to the navel, basically hitting on the students.
Yeah.
You know, in a city where if you like leave fucking peanut residue on a kid's lunch, like the fucking lunch lady's going to ADX Florence.
Yeah.
They're like, nobody says a word. And then and he got that job from Bob Barr's dad.
Right.
And then who was fucking OSS with Maxwell.
What? I didn't even know that.
Yes, he was from OSS during World War II, which Jolino Maxwell's father also was in. So he gets plucked out of there. Once again, no qualifications. to work at Bear Stearns, where he doesn't do anything except get involved in a fucking pyramid scheme or like a fucking Ponzi scheme.
That was after Bear Stearns.
But then he gets plucked by Les Wexman into staking him to a hedge fund with no published clients, gives him, in the public record, gives him a mansion. That house he has in the Upper East Side, there's no record that he paid any money for it.
Right.
Lexer gave that to him as well as his power of attorney.
Yeah.
So this is a guy who has like basically been drafted through the ranks to fill a spot, because you wouldn't want a guy in that job. You wouldn't want your pedo dealer in the elite world to be anybody with independent power or money of his own.
Yeah.
Because then he has a power. He has an independent like power base to leverage you. If he is always your your client, basically, like you bring him in, he's always going to be like at your disposal. So then he goes to these fundraisers with this phony hedge fund that anybody in that room would have known immediately was bullshit, because they're like, I know these people and they don't know who you are.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm a hedge fund guy. Really? Bullshit.
Right.
Immediately
Yeah.
they would know that. But nobody says anything. And just out of self-preservation, you're like, I don't want a fucking Ponzi guy in here with all these fundraisers. What if he blows this shit up? What if my candidate that I want to get elected gets roped in with some guy doing some financial crimes?
Yeah.
There would be this just an instinctive, the fucking immune system would kick in. And it never did, which means there was some higher level awareness of what was going on, and a knowledge that, of course, he doesn't have a hedge fund, but he's cool.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain level, it doesn't matter, because if you're any lower than that, all you need is somebody higher than you saying he's good, and then you're done. You don't have, you never think again. All you need is somebody to vouch for him.
Yeah.
But at the top level, people had to vouch for him. So, that means that at these elite levels, his position in that community was known, because he was not giving them value add through his fucking mathematical genius, because there's no evidence that he had any.
Yeah.
He's never shown any mathematical brilliance that would indicate this, which if he's coincidentally a huge pedophile and also a math genius, just to keep the fucking facade up, he would have done something with the math genius to justify himself. And like you said, patent an algorithm, show some sort of real like market wisdom. Never did. Never even tried.
He took pictures in front of chalkboards with math equations that don't add up.
Yeah. Just hangs out with guys like Pinker and Hawking.
It must suck to just be a pedophile, like a regular pedophile, and you're like, so that he just gets to. They pick one guy.
Right. No, that's basically he's the lottery winner. Yeah. Because like if he had not just through pure happenstance met the right people.
It's so funny. It was a joke I tried to get to work when I first started stand up. And it the joke was funny to me because it was absurd. But there's that trope in movies where he was the best hacker, and they arrested him, and now we want you to work for us,
right,
you know. And I was like, how funny it would be. I would do it on stage. I'd be like, how funny it would be if there was a pedophile who gets arrested, he was the world's best pedophile. And I was like, you work for us now.
That's him.
And
that's literally
what Jeffrey Epstein.
Because if Epstein was slightly less social, I think socially ingratiating.
Here's how stupid the intelligence community is too. Probably in the early 90s, there was a guy at the CIA that saw one of those hacker movies, badass. He was like, we should do that with pedophiles. We should do that with every crime.
But yeah, if he was slightly less socially ingratiating, if he hadn't by happenstance run into the right rich people in Manhattan who took a shine to him and realized what was going on and were able to communicate to him, and he was able to communicate with them, he would just be a guy in sweatpants with a fucking ankle monitor on watching fucking Disney Kids.
Yeah.
He would just be like a serial fucking sex offender in a group home.
Yeah.
Right. So we mentioned Stephen Hoffenberg. So Epstein leaves Bear Stearns. He's working with this guy in the mid 80s to the late 80s. Hoffenberg in 97 pleads guilty to running a $450 million Ponzi scheme. Hoffenberg, take his word as you will, but he says that Epstein was a co-conspirator in this Ponzi scheme. He says that the government just showed him favoritism and didn't charge him, which, if you believe he's an intelligence agent, it makes sense. Maybe they don't charge a fucking CIA guy. But so maybe that's a source of his money, but the most likely source of his money.
Licensed pedophile.
Yeah. So, maybe he got to keep some of this fucking Ponzi scheme money and got away with it. But the most likely source of his money is Les Wexner, the Victoria's Secret guy.
Yeah.
You know, and so I guess I wanted to just kind of go through some biographical stuff with this guy because it's all pretty fascinating. But there's an article in Bloomberg. Let me just see if it's by this guy Joe Nocera. He looked at the 990s and 13Ds for the foundations and trusts that Epstein and Les Wexner set up, because Les Wexner, the Victoria's Secret billionaire, gave Epstein like total fiduciary over all of his trusts and assets,
Insane.
power of attorney, all this shit. So this Bloomberg article looks at it, and I won't go into too much detail, but essentially he finds that through these foundations, Wexner gives Epstein $250 million. Like, it's just something that happens where, and then there's like another really weird transaction.
Just look at his resume at that
Right.
point. Like, fucking high school teacher, worked at Bear Stearns for a while, got stitched up in a fucking Ponzi scheme. That's his entire... There's a million traders on that fucking island, you know, who have actual track records and have more connections and have results. And this guy gets $200 million.
I stand by it, man. Shkreli's the only good one. I said it at the time. I continue to say it until they let him out of prison.
But yeah, so it's this 13D filed in March 2002 that shows that Epstein gets this transfer of about $250 million worth of stock and other assets. But then like another weird thing happens where Epstein had a foundation called COUQ.
Cuck?
Yeah.
Last letter?
Yeah, and so basically it had $20 million in assets, this Epstein Foundation, all of it was from Wexner. But the thing is, right after a month after Epstein gets his deal in Florida, he transfers $46 million to Abigail Wexner, Les Wexner's wife. He transfers $46 million to her foundation. $14 million came from Cuck or whatever. You know, so it's like he's sending this money back, and then
what's interesting is she is 4. It's another weird detail in the story. Wexner's wife is a 4-year-old girl.
But this is called YLK Charitable Fund, and it makes 2 donations, and then it shuts down with $33 million, which again funnels back into Les Wexner's money. So it's like, why the fuck is he sending him $46 million right after he makes this guilty plea? You know, so there's just a lot of like weird questions in the financials. I really recommend that Bloomberg article. I'll link it. But you know, so apparently $250 million of his fortune comes directly from Les Wexner.
But you can't trust Bloomberg not to be obfuscating detail.
Oh yeah. No, it's so funny, like, watching Bloomberg News and hearing them report about Les Wexner and having to be like, so, we're really sorry, Mr. Wexner. We know you're a valued customer and you've not been accused of any wrongdoing whatsoever, but we have to report that Les Wexner gave Epstein his 737, one of his private jets, given directly to him by Wexner. As we mentioned, the $77 million Manhattan mansion. They bought it together in 1989, but then he just transferred to it for $0, according to the public records. And you know, so...
I would love it if Warren Buffett's implicated.
Oh, he's the sickest one of them all.
That would really please me if he was outed publicly as just the most horrific type of pedophile.
Oh, because he's often seen as just down to earth, like a regular Joe billionaire.
I hate him.
It's so sick. His whole thing is disgusting.
I fucking hate him.
It's like he honestly it's like, yeah, no, I live in the same house I bought in the 50s.
Right,
and I just like to eat
McDonald's.
burgers and eat ice cream.
Yeah.
It's like, that makes you more psychotic.
Yeah.
That makes you more psychotic
see
than
him doing
anybody who just like sets fire to money in like a fucking ritual conflagration.
He increased his position on Delta right before all those Boeing planes started killing people.
Jesus Christ.
And and then afterwards he was running PR for Boeing, and for whatever reason the media never fucking bats an eye.
Yeah.
He just gets away with that shit. He's like, no one is ever fucking critical of Warren Buffett.
Okay,
You know, he's like, I would not hesitate to fly on a Boeing 737 Max or whatever the fuck they are, the ones that were killing people.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, I would have never hesitated to do it. And it's like, well, you're never going to.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I guarantee you they're working very hard at Boeing 24/7 to resolve this issue. And it's like, well, were they doing that before the planes killed people?
He has a major share in like all the major airlines.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of it. They're like, he's a smart investor. It's like, no, he's a monopolist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the reason he's fucking going around defending Boeing.
Yeah.
But so Epstein meets Les Wexner through a guy he meets through Hoffenberg, is the story. And then another weird thing about this is that nobody has made Les Wexner answer when exactly he met Epstein. So, like, according to this Vanity Fair article, Epstein said it was 86. Others said it was 89. It's 85 at the earliest, 89 at the latest. But no, actually, by 87. 87 is when Wexner becomes a Epstein client. And so it is something where, like we mentioned, Wexner assigned him the power of fiduciary over all his private trusts and foundations. But the thing is, in addition to all that, he gives him the Victoria's Secret catalog, which is like a really fucked up part of the story where essentially, like, in 97, there's an allegation a Santa Monica woman says in 1997 Epstein groped her in a hotel after, like, bringing her there to audition for the Victoria's Secret catalog. She says she reported this to the police and it was ignored. Virginia Roberts, her affidavit says Victoria's Secret models were on the flight logs, at least at one time, with Alan Dershowitz there. And there's like this New York Post story about an Italian model named Elizabeth Ty that was just recently published. And she says she arrived in New York to do a modeling gig, and her booker told her that Epstein was, quote, one of the most important people in modeling. He said, this man is in charge of Victoria's Secret and he's going to change your life. So she goes to Epstein's mansion and, like shows her photos or whatever you do. And Epstein gets down on the massage table and takes his clothes off, and she's expecting some sort of model to come in. But then he's like, no, come over, start touching me, and like this kind of stuff. So she throws, I think, a vibrator at him or something and runs out. And she says, as she was running out, she saw Ghislaine Maxwell, who told her she couldn't just leave. This man is very important. He's a friend of Bill Clinton's. But the point is essentially like, and then New York Post gets like some quotes from people involved in the modeling industry saying like Epstein portrayed himself as the back door to get into the Victoria's Secret catalog. It was still significant cash. It wasn't the fashion show, but he says, the catalog, you could make about $5,000 a week modeling for campaigns on the catalog. And so the point is like this was another way that he was able to get people directly through Les Wexner's company.
Yeah. No, he had. Yeah. The recruitment like mechanisms are pretty clear. The other one that just I found out about a few days ago was you're talking about Leon Black, this guy who's the only other person who is directly tied to Epstein in terms of giving him money. Like there's only two named people who we can say definitively through records provided him with money. One is Wexner and the other is Leon Black, right? Like $10 million to one of his charities and stuff. And he is a private equity guy with a very wide suite of holdings, one of which is Academy, formerly Blackwater.
Right.
Which
they just change their name every like 6
years. Yeah, they were G for a while.
Oh, yeah, which was the weirdest one.
Yeah. Yeah, XI. Yeah. Just make it stupid. Make it hard to pronounce. And Blackwater has been wildly implicated in human trafficking in everywhere that they've been put. Like accusations of literally just like bringing people, young women, into these like the compounds and stuff and trafficking them around from Afghanistan, the Middle East, talking about the fucking Syrian bathhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, just from what we see from his public disclosures, the people he's connected to, the entities he's connected to, have the infrastructure to just be conveyor belts for victims, basically.
Right, yeah, like for Leon Black, according to the New York Post, in 2015, Black threw a lavish pool party at his Hamptons estates. A source there said Jeffrey Epstein was there, along with a number of women in bathing suits. And this is 2015. Like, this is long after the allegations are very well known. He says in the New York Times it was reported that Mr. Epstein was an investor in Environmental Solutions Worldwide, a maker of emission control products, with several people close to Leon Black, including his 4 children. And then, of course, in 2015, Epstein has this charity that has been reported on by the Daily Beast. The only known cash it got was $10 million from Leon Black.
Right.
So it's like, why is this private equity guy giving him $10 million? And then I guess just one other thing on that Victoria's Secret from the New York Post. They quote some other agent who says essentially this other agent says Ghislaine Maxwell was a fixture at Victoria's Secret events. And they say, quote, they were always these really trashy shows full of rich men in the audience. Ghislaine acted as the kind of Nazi guard, telling everyone where they were sitting in the audience and that she had new, quote, Pop-Tarts, which is what she called the young models.
Oh, my God.
So it's like everything indicates that Ghislaine Maxwell was the high society pimp for Epstein, among other people.
So you guys, obviously, you've seen that picture that's floating around, the Getty image. Is that real?
Of her at the Chelsea wedding?
No. That I know about. It's this other image that I saw some QAnon idiot post, and then I was like, okay, this is too on the nose. And then I looked for it, and it looks like it is an actual like Getty image that you can like buy from their catalog,
Right.
and that is not like I posted it when I first saw it, and because I was even at the time I was like, this might not be real, and then, of course, somebody immediately was like, oh, yeah, that's not a real Getty image, and that's Photoshopped. But then, after that, somebody linked the actual Getty image, like
link?
the link on the website where you could buy the print for $500. You guys know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know. What is this photo?
Okay, so there's this guy, he's got a whole thing. He's a society photographer, Patrick McManson or something, and he's got tons of images on Getty of high society events.
Right.
And one of them was for a party that Ghislaine Maxwell was at her home in 2007 in New York. This guy Patrick McMullen, and it was commemorating like somebody's stupid like bistro or some bullshit. But this is the picture that was posted. I don't know who the guy is, but that's
what?
Wait,
and
where is she in that?
What
she
the
was
the bottom.
there, but that's not in the image.
It's hard to describe, but that's like a guy with
standing
below a mask.
It's a mask of what looks like the devil with a giant rope beard. But then the real thing that fucked with me, and somebody insisted this was photoshopped, and I was like, you know what, it probably is. This is too on the nose. But then I saw the fucking Getty image, clickable link.
Right.
It was like nobody photoshopped that. Look at the forehead of the skull.
Oh, that's like what, a pentagram?
No, it's not. A pentagram would be kind of explicable.
Well, it's a ghost from Pac-Man.
Oh, it's hard to see, but in the corner there.
Is it one of those symbols from Twin Peaks?
What is that?
It's a triangle.
But like Illuminati triangle?
No, like the fucking Nambla triangle. The whole thing that started Pizzagate.
Right. Yeah. Again?
It's hard to see because it's dark, but it's an actual. It looks like that. Exactly like that image from the FBI thing that they're always posting on 4chan.
Right.
Of like what the symbols are.
Mm-hmm. The downfall of elite societies was inviting Getty Images photographers.
But no, like I saw that and like I still don't know if it's real, and I just keep thinking if I don't stop looking at this, I'm going to go insane.
Right.
Like there's no way to like. I'll never be able to know what I'm looking at.
Right.
I'll never be able to know what's true. There's zero chance.
Right.
I'm so far removed from it. I'm only getting this. I'm trying to like trying to drink from the fire hose of just internet fucking data. I'm just gonna be like putting pieces together as like I see them, which is just a recipe for schizophrenia.
Have you read the descriptions of the art in his New York mansion?
Oh, I know about the painting of him in jail. Is there other? Oh, right, and the dentist chair in the bathroom.
And like just a wall of like eyeballs.
Jesus Christ!
Wait, the dentist chair in the bathroom?
Yeah, he's got like an old-timey dentist chair in the bathroom. It looks like something from Saw. I saw the picture of it. It's like it's like no one on earth would see that and be like, oh, that's a nice little touch. That's a cute. Did you get that at fucking Crate and Barrel?
He has a bunch of art that's not like particularly highly valued given his wealth. Like the eyeball one, for instance.
That's just because he loves it.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Tony Podesta's art collection is bizarre.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like when the Pizzagate thing broke, I remember reading about the art and being like, yes, this is weird, but I could totally see this as just being like a pretentious guy, like wanting to be edgy.
Yeah,
like specifically the thing of like the Dahmer body. Like he has this like coffee table that's in a model of a crime scene photo of one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. And it's like, that's gross, but also you could totally see him at a party like explaining it to people to look cool.
Yeah.
Like this fucking old lame-o.
At a pizza party, which they seem to have all the time.
They love to have
all the time. Even after the Pizzagate thing, it's like, how much do you fucking love pizza? That you're like, hey, remember that thing that was probably traumatic for us? And somebody fucking brought a gun and fired it at our friend's pizza restaurant? Let's continue to have pizza parties all the time. They're still doing it.
They love pizza, folks.
Switch to fucking sandwich. I don't give a shit. Meatball parm. There's no reason to fuck. You can afford it. Just have pasta. It's a get together. I mean, fuck. Like,
well, it goes back to the temple thing. Either it's like we're committed to this; it's part of our dark rituals, or we're gonna have fun with it. This is what they think we do. We're gonna lean into it.
Triangle slices.
Funny, like winking at each other. You know, just we're just so fucking clever. Or it's a mixture of the two. You know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they want to get like information out there to distract people. Like we were talking about before this started, Epstein was a member of the Trilateral Commission, which
for a long time.
Another like conspiracy theory you want to go on is like people think the Trilateral Commission did 9/11 and shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like he was in the Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, New York Academy of Sciences.
Like these are the kind of it comes back to just out of self-preservation, he's getting in rooms with incredibly powerful people who are going to want to know what they're dealing with. And his entire presentation of himself was fraudulent on its face.
Oh, yeah.
And that never stopped him from getting into any of these rooms. Which means that there had to have been, at some level and high enough that you could just vouch for him to people lower than you, awareness of what his role was.
So, like, with the theory that you've posed earlier about, like, there's someone above him that's helping him move along.
Yeah.
With him getting arrested now, is his value, like, no longer useful? Or is it just he's run its course of what that career was supposed to be?
Well, I think, I think it's that limited hangout thing of, honestly, I bet that his, he probably became less of a, he probably lost his, position as a actual like organizer of whatever we're talking about after he got convicted, because just too much. But he didn't lose his social position, because that's how you guarantee him not releasing the dead man switch and releasing all the information and burning everybody.
Right.
But I think like after that conviction, you have this awareness of like, well, we can't use him anymore. So whatever other networks are existing, we have to activate them, basically build up somebody to take his spot. And then and then at the same time, like I was saying, cut the connections, create plausible deniability around everybody who's too powerful to go down, so that if, because of, like something like the Miami Herald or the Boyce lawsuit, he gets enough public scrutiny that eventually they just gotta go after him again just to get ahead, to give to the public, it's not going to blow back on their face. And that he's just like, it's like how they fucking remove they castrate a bull or something by just like tying a rubber band around the balls until they just lose the blood and then they just fall off.
Egg-shaped penis again.
Yeah, you just tie a rubber band around the egg-shaped penis until it loses blood supply and falls off. And that's like, what's he going to say? At this point, he doesn't have the goods anymore to fuck anybody other than people who are expendable. Like Dershowitz. Dershowitz goes down, nobody's going to fucking lose any sleep.
No, he's so guilty now.
Oh, God. And that's the thing. It's like I have very little hope that anybody really like the Clintons. That would be amazing, but it's not going to happen. But Dershowitz,
nothing will happen.
Dershowitz, I don't know. Dershowitz might go down.
I mean,
I could see that.
We still have to see if Epstein even goes down.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so public, And they denied him bail.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that, if you can protect a fucking Eric Garner cop, you can protect fucking Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
but he's also like 1 million times more implicated and worse than Weinstein, and like Weinstein went down. So
yeah, but I mean, Weinstein's just like a lecherous guy. I don't like. It's not like this guy was already protected to like a horrific degree in fucking 2006. I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
I don't know if he goes down.
I like how Mossad operatives get like post-retirement sinecures, like harassing women who are rape victims.
Kevin Spacey didn't, and that's clearly a case of like fucking witness intimidation or whatever.
Oh yeah, well that's the other thing of thinking like I'm gonna go insane, because out of nowhere his accuser just pleads the fifth.
Right.
Out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
Just like happened to that Gallagher guy. Basically the same thing with that SEAL, the maniac SEAL who killed the civilian in Iraq. The guy, one of the main witnesses who had immunity, just on the stand says, "No, I killed the kid. It wasn't him," and he gets off. This guy who was incredibly high profile, a guy who was really loved by the higher ups in special forces, and of course Trump is literally publicly said,
right.
Like the pressure is obvious. It's a similar situation. And then I think about the people saying, "Remember that video that Spacey made?
Yeah.
That insane.
Yeah. Can't wait.
What is he thinking?" And at the time, it got written off as, this is just a maniac actor who's like totally narcissistic and doesn't realize how this looks. But people say, no, he was like warning them, the elite, that he can't go down. Yeah. And then his accuser just says, no, I'm not going to testify.
You know what blew my mind doing research for this? As of a day ago, the guy making the Jeffrey Epstein documentary decided not to make it anymore because he said it was, quote, too distasteful. And this is like the documentary of the century, he's just right in the middle of all this shit, backing out. It's like, what the fuck did he find out?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
And as part of that, the Spacey thing, someone pointed out, and this is another thing. I might as well just drill a hole in my head like the guy in Pi. Is that there's a mug that Spacey's drinking from in that, and it's a mug with like I think the signature of Queen Elizabeth on it.
Oh, really?
It's like a commemorative mug for some fucking jubilee or something. And of course, one of the top people implicated in that Epstein network that he was involved with was Prince Andrew. And it's like, it's like that sounds dumb, but then he just gets off out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Fuck.
There are like 30 different like commemorative or like heirloom shit in the back of them.
Oh yeah.
As he made the video.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up here, I did want to mention one more thing about Les Wexner, just something I found. And if you're interested in Les Wexner, I would recommend you look at some of the stuff by this journalist, Bob Fitrakis. He was a independent Columbus, Ohio journalist. He wrote for this paper, Columbus Alive. But the point is, he explored this confidential police report that essentially accused Les Wexner of being mobbed up, at least in the 80s, or associated with the mob. And the story is that Arthur Shapiro was a lawyer shot twice in the head in 1985, killed mob-style killing. And just according to this confidential police report written in about 1991, at the time he was part of a Columbus law firm that represented The Limited, which is, of course, Les Wexner's brand, The Limited, now L Brands, owns Victoria's Secret. But so he was working the Les Wexner account, and it just so happens that he was the subject of an IRS investigation, and his death occurred one day prior to his appearance before a grand jury in the IRS case. And so the reason that people kind of link Les Wexner to the mob is that because there are these two people, a guy named Walsh, a Youngstown real estate developer, Edward D. Bartolo, and a trucker named Walsh were both connected, according to the report, to the Pittsburgh family, the Genovese LaRocca crime family. And so it was essentially where, like, according to one thing this journalist found, Francis J. Walsh is the guy's name. He owned the Walsh Trucking Company, and around the time of the murder, according to an interview that he found, Walsh did in excess of 90% of the Limited's trucking business during that time. And then, of course, this other guy, Les Wexner, was in some various DiBartolo. He was in a couple takeover bids in like 84 and 86. He was involved in like multi-billion-dollar takeover bids. They tried to take over Neiman Marcus at one point. So it's like clearly Wexner at least knows these two mobbed-up guys. I don't know if he actually murdered that lawyer, but it's just something to be aware of. And this gets like no press whatsoever, but we'll see if maybe the Epstein connection has people look into this a little more.
Well, I mean, yeah, if Wexner is just able to just hang out like in his dialysis tent or whatever the fuck he's in at this point, he's pretty old, and not get dragged in here, then you know that, yeah, there's no chance that anything greater, because he is the public exhibit one of anybody who would be involved. This is the mug that he was drinking out of, that Spacey was drinking out of, and I'll read you guys the quote. It's a commemorative mug, and it's got the crown jewels on it, Westminster Abbey. It's commemorating her coronation, I think. Westminster Abbey, 2nd June 1953, and it has a nice gold leaf calligraphy quote from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Quote: "Throughout all my life and with all my heart, I shall strive to be worthy of your trust."
Jesus Christ.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It is something where, like, I think we were talking about this before we started recording, where essentially, like, Matt, you've talked about this, and I know Chomsky has talked about this too, where conspiracy theory thinking, the idea is that people understand inherently that their life is bad, but they don't understand the mechanisms through which, private equity or whatever else destroys union companies. Or so you essentially, instead of like understanding this, you say, oh, they're all pedophiles. That's why the elite are bad. And then you just start like running into this shit where more and more evidence comes out that, am I insane? Is this real? Am I just going down the rabbit hole? Like,
yeah. See, the thing is my life isn't bad, and it's like, and to the extent that I even give a shit is like, if you were like, yeah, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, all of them are in a weird pedophile cult together, I'd be like, damn. I wouldn't fucking really give a shit beyond that. I'd just be like, I don't know, that's weird that's happening, right? And like I wouldn't even be like, there should be a call for like the country, like. Things are already fucked up. Like, the Iraq war is fucked up.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are already fucked up that, like, a weird pedophile cult on top of it wouldn't bother me any more than I've already, like, had to make peace with the fact that, like, I'm sort of complicit in a shitty system.
Right. Like, in 2008, like, the entire economy was recapitalized on the back of fucking taxpayers to make whole the people who destroyed it in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone said, this sucks. We don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And all the politicians like, yeah, this is bullshit, huh? Well, we got to do it. And it's like, I don't want that to happen. It's like, well, good luck, motherfucker. Who are you going to vote for who doesn't want to do this?
Climate change is the best example. It's like, we're all just going to die. China is like fucking like pedal to the metal, baby.
Fucking be legend.
And it's like, we're all just going to burn to death in 50 years. And it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes out on Switch.
I think the explanatory model is when Nick and I were talking before the show about, there are some guys who, like Epstein, are like, you know what, my real heart is in pedophilia. Mm-hmm. That's my whole, like, if I could make they got pedophile when they took the career aptitude test in high school.
Right.
And he just made good. He was the best pedophile, and he got to do you know what, I have it, not a day of it has felt like work. But for a lot of these guys at the top, it's like a thing you got to do to just stay in the club. It's oh, God, I got to fuck a kid again. God damn it, I just want to go watch the ball game.
It's like in Eastern Promises when the gay brother the gay son makes him...
have sex with a prostitute. Yeah, it's like this is how, at the very, very top, like these bonds are sealed. And you just have to have this mutual implication, this mutual sense of each other's limits or lack thereof, a sense that nobody is outside. This is the way, like... It's the way like concentrated and power operates throughout the entire like spectrum of power, down to like precincts in like dirty cops, like who like the guy who won't take money is a problem.
I didn't know you get wet, Jake. It's training day.
Yeah, training to be a pedophile.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to mention.
So wait, that article that came out where those BMW billionaire heirs said that our life is actually much harder than you think it is. It's because they have to
they have to
do all that pedophile stuff.
I got to think of like a fucking Bugatti when I do
They got to come up with a new BMW.
So we didn't mention this yet, but essentially, like, while Epstein was supposedly in jail, he was visited by women, and all the records disappeared. And now the Palm Beach PD is like supposedly investigating themselves about this. But the sheriff who ordered his work release is still in charge and overseeing the investigation. But
the work release where he was just getting women,
the whole
time.
He was like Escobar killing somebody in jail.
Yeah.
Totally unaccountable.
And there's like 130,000 disappeared and stuff.
Yeah, corruption is like so funny too, because the Smollett thing is hilarious because it's like how bad woke people are at being corrupt.
Right.
Like just how bad that fucking DA fucked up, like sneakily letting her friend off.
Right.
So you think about like how good pedophiles are in contrast to that. I mean, even
they're
like
born into it. They
the
know how it
low-level pedophiles are like wife, kids, fucking $80,000 a year job.
Right.
You know, white picket fence, no one will know. And they get away with it. So
Yeah.
imagine if you're like an elite pedophile. Like that's how you go 3 decades, nobody finding out.
But so CNBC actually looked at the jail records that do exist, and they found another Bill Clinton connection. This guy, Arnold Paul Prosperi, was visited Epstein in prison more than at least 20 times. He was an attorney who became friends with Clinton at Georgetown University, and he later became a fundraiser for Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton, commuted. Bill Clinton commuted his sentence for filing false tax returns on his last day in the White House.
A little
in
Mark
2001.
Rich action there,
right? So it's just something where it's like this guy who's probably conceivably linked to Bill Clinton visited Epstein at least 20 times while he was in jail. And we'll see what else comes out.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Boogie Nights when Jack goes to visit the Colonel.
Mm-hmm.
Only it's just they're all having fun.
Yeah. Imagine just being his cellmate. Like, well, I'm in here for siphoning gas out of a police cruiser. How about you? I really don't want to say. I like to imagine he sounds like Christopher Lambert.
Also,
I don't. He was on the plane. That drove me insane.
Speaking of, okay, so
did you know he's blind? Did we?
Yeah,
talk
we
about
talked
that?
about the blindness. It's just hilarious. Just that guy. He has to have something on someone because how did he become an actor? Just no talent, blind man who can't speak English.
Can't
and
speak
has
English.
This like Pee Wee Herman body. Fucking action star. He had to have had tapes on people.
Yeah.
But talking one more about the brain.
Hole.
The brain hole worm thing is so you guys. I was listening to the episode where you just brilliantly out of thin air conjured a narrative of Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah,
right.
Which after the fact, we Googled Jimmy Buffett, and of course he's implicated.
He's in there. That's the thing. Yeah. Like I'm listening to this, and it's like it starts off as a joke. It's very funny, but then you read the lyrics to Cheeseburger Paradise, and you're like. Sacrifice? It's a fucking burger. What are you talking about?
Right.
And then it's like, well, it's like a little funny, but it's a little weird. And then, no, he's in there.
Right, right.
Jeez, it's like, all right, I'm just going to dip my brain in fucking battery acid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's very easy to go down that road. And then, fucking eyes wide shut, man.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Courtney Love has her name circled in Epstein's Black Book, and her boyfriend and money manager around the time was a guy named Dano Giacchotto or something. But the important thing is he was one of the investors in Digital Entertainment Network, which was, of course, Bryan Singer's rape children fake company. So it's like, I don't know. There's just so many weird connections that you could go absolutely insane trying to follow all of these.
Oh, that's why she had Kurt killed. He was going to blow the whistle.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining some Israeli guy in Seattle, got to kill the The coffee's pretty good.
I was looking forward to the 4th album, but
I guess just to wrap it out here, so supposedly Ghislaine Maxwell, her lawyers say that she's living in London, but she doesn't have a permanent address. So, she's clearly trying to avoid Interpol warrants at the moment. But her lawyers filed some sort of thing to those 2,000 pages of the Virginia Roberts documents where they accuse Maxwell as well as other people like Dershowitz. The Second Appeals Court has ruled them to be unsealed, thanks to the hard work of Mike Cernovich. And the point here was essentially she's filed as of last week to have the full panel rehear it. There's supposed to be some hearing, I think, Wednesday, July 25th, which... It might come out then, it might come out after then, but within the next couple weeks, conceivably, these 2,000 pages are going to come out, and we just have to speculate who might be in it. And I guess just Nick and Matt, if you have any predictions or final thoughts on things we might not have covered here.
See, John Voight.
Ronald McDonald.
I think it's easier to pick people you don't think are going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Mark Ruffalo is probably fine.
Yeah. Oh, God, that would be disappointing.
Tom Hanks is a pedophile for sure.
No, anyone in the Amblin arc, anybody who's been in more than one Spielberg movie, I think you could just assume.
Right. Yeah.
What if the documents come out?
Spike Jonze and Charlie Kaufman.
I'll tell you who 100% not, Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, of course.
Zero.
Well,
Zero chance.
Michael Bay is part of that I feel like Bruckheimer, Simpson, and Bay are part of that crew of guys that are just like stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, right,
Like their idea of becoming a powerful guy in Hollywood is like making a hot girl wash a car.
Right, exactly.
Like that's it. And then you're like, no, but we could like go in the next room and there's like a bunch of kids and Rob's like, what?
No,
That's fucking weird, dude. There's fucking Megan Fox in a bikini. What the fuck do you want?
Like I think Tony Scott is like legitimately the only guy to actually kill himself in Hollywood.
Yeah,
because he's like, all of my friends are dumb as shit. I have all my garbage movies.
I can't do it again. I can't do it.
I was thinking it'd be good if the 2,000 pages come out and Bernie's fundraising disadvantage totally disappears overnight.
Oh yeah, did you see that article where it was Kamala Harris? What was it? She slammed the law firm that defended Epstein, and then immediately after that took money from it.
Yep. Yeah, no, she took money from the law firm that negotiated the plea deal.
And her defense was like, oh, it wasn't the same lawyers.
That's so funny.
Swish. Oh, and then from the Vanity Fair, a few years ago, Epstein was a guest at a dinner in Palo Alto hosted by LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. At the dinner, Elon Musk introduced him to Mark Zuckerberg.
Wow.
And, of course, there's the picture of Ghislaine Maxwell with Elon Musk, with Lloyd Blankfein in 2013, with Mayor Bloomberg.
There's no concern here. I mean, what? Elon Musk just revealed that he made some sort of like Jeffrey Dahmer machine for the human brain.
Neuralink.
Just drilling holes in people's skull. There's nothing to be concerned with there.
I love when he does this shit and he's like, I need volunteers now. Like, that's how he's introducing it to people.
Well, that's the thing about him, is that he's got this army of people who have deluded themselves into thinking that he's like fucking, he's like Thomas Edison times.
That's the crazy is Elon Musk has been able to pull the trick that all the tech guys did in the fucking 70s and 80s, and then it really ramped up in the 90s, where it's like these guys are the smart kid geniuses that are going to save fucking capitalism because computers can't make pollution. And that's the only problem with business is pollution. Right. But meanwhile, he makes rockets.
Yeah, and he's just.
I mean, it's like the shittiest type of engine there is.
Right. And like, what if we dealt with public transportation issues by just drilling an endless series of tunnels to the center of the earth for individual cars to go down? But yeah, but because of these people who have deluded themselves into thinking that he would not need to get kids or anything, like they would do it. They would be like the fucking Children's Crusade. They'd just be like coming in an army to be like, yes, drill holes in my head, turn me into a fuck puppet. As long as I wake up on Mars, I don't care what you do.
All right. Well, is there anything we didn't get to here?
I mean, there's tons. But
there's
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's like it really is. The limits of this whole operation and the extent of it challenge your like conscious understanding of the world around you to a degree that it's like trying to like comprehend like a metaphysical question about like the nature of existence itself. So it's like you can't even really go that far with it. You're like, oh, I guess everyone's involved, and I'll never know exactly why or how we got here, or I don't know. Yeah, it'll just put you in the fucking hospital.
Well, like you were talking about that Michael Jackson documentary, and like some of Michael Jackson's employees would like move the parents of the children being abused when they went on tour. They would move them to farther away hotel rooms. Yeah. So it's like you have all these like little functionaries in an operation like this. Yeah. And you just imagine how many people who were even like not directly abusing kids. Just
my red pill was Subway Jared. I've said it before, but it's like the amount of people that had to have been protecting that fucking that guy who does not come from. He was famous by accident. He was a big fat guy that had to tell the sandwich company that he lost it. He has no friends in his life to be like, good job. He's like, I guess I'll write a letter to Subway to let them know I'm not a fat piece of shit anymore. And they're like, we'll put you in a couple commercials because we feel bad for you. He rises to the top ranks of Subway, and then now people have to protect this fat pedophile. And it's like, why? He's not an elite. He has no connection to anything. He's just the fucking Subway guy, and you could replace him in a second. And honestly, they should have years ago.
Right.
It's a shitty ad campaign. No one remembers that he was fat. It's just some fucking weird dork that's like, these sandwiches are pretty good. There's zero fucking reason to have him around, and for years, people are just like protecting him.
Yeah, they were telling people every Subway he would go to, they'd be like, yeah, he was trying to grab the asses of all of our underage. And they would be like, yeah, don't worry about it. He's getting help. Like, just these executives, like, we cannot lose Subway Jared.
Now imagine that's the fucking king of of some shitty nation.
Yeah, it's like the Sultan of Brunei.
Yeah,
it's fucking Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
That's why they're fighting universal health care. It's because like all those functionaries just have like amazing health plans, and they lose that.
It's like if we can't like dangle dental over people's heads, we're not going to shuttle our sex slaves around the country.
But I guess obviously we'll see what happens with these 2,000 pages. Supposedly maybe they'll come out next week, maybe the week after. We'll see who, if anybody's implicated in them. We'll see what happens with the Epstein trial. I'm sure you can keep track of what Matt and Nick say on Matt on Chapo Trap House, Nick on Cumtown, two of my absolute favorite people to listen to. Anything else to advertise or say while you're here?
Yeah, I'm selling shirts. This is my business now. I'm selling shirts out of the back of the truck. It's cum.town.
I'm going to be parachuting into Interlaken to find Epstein's private chalet that he was keeping there for many years, apparently, so that he could play piano. Speaking of things we didn't get into.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a piano player.
Oh, yeah. Well, he needed a temple to... Yeah. Just it's just fucking just bullshit. Just be like, I'm sorry. Pizzagate is real. You were right. I'm sorry.
I love the pretension of this guy. Like, he's got the career... He's doing what he loves, being the pedophile man. Mm-hmm. But he's also got to pretend to be a genius. He's got to pretend to be a piano prodigy.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining he's at one of these parties. Everybody's getting ready to go into the back room. They've got the adrenochrome appetizers. And then he just sits down at this like $50,000 piano to like serenade them. And he just plays chopsticks. And they're just like nodding their head like, very good, Jeff.
Right.
Yeah, and so they're like, oh well, he is a classically trained pianist. And it's like, well, who would you say is the best living pianist right now?
I don't know.
Here, there's Martha Agarich, Argentina. All right, so let's see if where does she fucking practice piano? And she's one of the best.
Right.
Yeah.
The best in the fucking world. Does she have an island she goes to? And then when even there, she has to go to the southernmost point to go into a weird fucking Egyptian temple.
Maybe it was like the Eyes Wide Shut thing where they picked Epstein because they needed a piano player who wouldn't look out behind the blindfold and tell Tom Cruise where the party is. But I guess any other question for our guest? Thank you both so much for being here. So funny, so interesting. You know, I mean, we'll see what happens, but
we will.
This shit's making
me
crazy.
Or what fails to, yeah.
Oh, I emailed Chomsky just to see what he thought.
Please let me know when he gets back to you if he does, because I'd be very interested.
So I did email Professor Chomsky with the recent arrest of Jeffrey Epstein and media reports suggesting a wide-ranging conspiracy. Do you personally believe that there are elite networks of pedophiles at the highest level of government and business in this country? Thank you for all your work. So I'll let you know if he thinks it's real or not.
Yeah, please let me know.
Yeah.
What if he just stridently denies it?
I would be so disappointed. That would be really upsetting.
If Chomsky said no, and then you just had to like jettison all this stuff from your mind.
Well, never mind.
Well, I don't know. What do you jettison?
I guess I'll get really into daily fantasy now.
I guess I can shake hands with Elon Musk again.
Yeah.
He seems like a trustworthy character.
Yeah. Did you see that with Andy? Is it Yo?
Oh, the guy who got punched?
Yeah. He did Rogan, and he's like affecting Elon Musk's accent.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
He's like, I want to have as good of an interview as Elon Musk did. I guess I'll just talk like him.
Right.
That's the brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they concussed my brain was hemorrhage.
Right.
and
that's why I talk like this.
It
now.
really had a negative effect on my brain.
And he's from Portland, Oregon. He sounds like us. He's from the Pacific Northwest. It doesn't have any fucking accent.
Just being weird.
Yeah, right.
All right. Nick Mullen from Cumtown, Matt Christman from Chapo Trap House. Thank you both for being here. And
with that, this one Grubstakers. I'm Yogi Polywall.
Steve Jeffers.
Andy Palmer.
I'm Sean McCarthy. Thanks for listening, and thanks to our guests. This was a lot of fun. And if you like us, check us out, Patreon Grubstakers. Bye. Thanks.